In the middle of COVID, 7 kids between the ages of 14 and 19 decided to chase their dreams. At times, they worked tirelessly, at times they shed tears, and at times they cried out of happiness. But at the end of the day, those 7 kids have now become a name recognized all around the world. ENHYPEN did not step onto the stage as an ordinary group. Even before the members were officially decided, thousands of people were already waiting for them with curiosity and anticipation. Everyone was expecting them to become the new face of HYBE. Although the group did not debut directly under HYBE, they debuted under BELIFT LAB, a joint venture between CJ ENM and HYBE. The mission of this new company was very clear: to create a new global boy group in 2020. With this goal in mind, large-scale auditions began in 2019. Young trainees were sought from various regions, ranging from Seoul to the United States, from Japan to Taiwan. The company's plan was not simply to recruit these trainees, train them, and then form a group. Instead, they wanted the trainees to compete against one another and select the 6 most talented individuals to build the strongest group possible. In line with this idea, the survival program called Island began in 2020. On this show, 23 trainees competed for one single goal: to become a member of the new group. Some of these trainees had specifically auditioned for this competition and earned their place on the show through those auditions. Others, however, were already trainees under big hit music before the program began. The competition was divided into 2 parts. In the first part, contestants were eliminated. The top 12 advanced to the second round. After weeks of performances, voting, and elimination processes, only 7 names remained for the finale. On the final day, September 18th, 2020, the results were announced live. 6 members were selected through global voting. Those 6 were Jungwon, Jae, Jake, Nikki, Heeseung, and Sunghoon. At the very last moment, Sunoo was added to the group by the producer's choice, forming a 7-member lineup. That was the moment ENHYPEN was born, but it was only the beginning. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to their debut year 2020. What does that remind you of? Yes, the group debuted in the very year when COVID was at its peak. Because of this, they didn't really have the opportunity to build a direct, face-to-face connection with their fans. Unlike other groups, they couldn't hold in-person events, concerts, or properly introduce themselves in the traditional way. And yet, in a very strange way, they were deeply loved. When the group announced that they would release their first album on November 30th, pre-orders had already surpassed 300,000 even before the album came out. What's even more surprising is that the group had over 1 million followers on social media before they had even officially debuted. In other words, they had thousands of fans and millions of followers even before making their official debut. Some of these trainees had specifically auditioned for this competition and earned their place on the show through those auditions. Others, however, were already trainees under big hit music before the program began. The competition was divided into 2 parts. In the first part, contestants were eliminated. The top 12 advanced to the second round. After weeks of performances, voting, and elimination processes, only 7 names remained for the finale. On the final day, September 18th, 2020, the results were announced live. 6 members were selected through global voting. Those 6 were Jungwon, Jae, Jake, Nikki, Heeseung, and Sunghoon. At the very last moment, Sunoo was added to the group by the producer's choice, forming a 7-member lineup. That was the moment ENHYPEN was born, but it was only the beginning. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to their debut year 2020. What does that remind you of? Yes, the group debuted in the very year when COVID was at its peak. Because of this, they didn't really have the opportunity to build a direct, face-to-face connection with their fans. Unlike other groups, they couldn't hold in-person events, concerts, or properly introduce themselves in the traditional way. And yet, in a very strange way, they were deeply loved. When the group announced that they would release their first album on November 30th, pre-orders had already surpassed 300,000 even before the album came out. What's even more surprising is that the group had over 1 million followers on social media before they had even officially debuted. In other words, they had thousands of fans and millions of followers even before making their official debut. Before joining Big Hit, Jae trained at LP Dance Academy. Among his role models are EXO's Kai and BTS's V. He has also mentioned that he learned Japanese by watching anime. Jake was born on November 15th, 2002 in Seoul, but moved to Australia when he was 8 years old. He was first introduced to K-pop through his mother. When he was 16, his mother showed him BTS performances. From that moment on, Jake decided that he wanted to become an idol. He trained for exactly 9 months and placed 3rd in the Island finale. Jake Jake also stands out in global promotions thanks to his Australian accent and fluent English. Nikki is the youngest member of the group. He was born on December 9, 2005 in Japan. He started dancing at the age of 3 and received training in jazz and ballet. He even held workshops at his family's dance studio. At just 14 years old, he came to South Korea alone to pursue his dream of becoming an idol and successfully passed the BELIFT LAB auditions. He trained for 8 months and ranked 4th in the island finale. During the program, Nikki was selected as the best dancer. He amazed both viewers and judges with his ability to memorize choreography in just 10 minutes. Heeseung is the oldest member of the group. He was born on October 15, 2001. He trained for 3 years and 1 month and placed 5th in the island finale. From the moment he entered the program, Heeseung was seen as a strong contender. He had trained for nearly 3 years alongside the members of TXT, which made him stand out even more during the show. He delivered powerful performances in both vocals and dance. Sunghoon was born on December 8, 2002. He trained for 2 years and 1 month and finished 6th in the island finale. Sunghoon's background is a little different from the other members. Before becoming an idol, he was a professional figure skater for over 10 years. He won medals in both national and international competitions. Because of this, he is often referred to as the figure skating prince. Sunoo was born on June 24, 2003. He trained for 10 months. Originally, the group was supposed to be formed with the 6 members selected through the competition. However, at the last moment, Sunoo was added to the lineup at the producer's request, completing the group as 7 members. Shortly after their debut, surpassing million-seller milestones, holding dome concerts in Japan, charting on Billboard, and embarking on world tours demonstrated that ENHYPEN's rise was both rapid and carefully planned. At the same time, health-related hiatuses, public controversies, and intense fan dynamics also revealed the pressure side of the idol system. After making a strong start with Border, Day 1, 2021 became the year when ENHYPEN's rise accelerated and they moved beyond the label of a rookie group. On March 25, 2021, BELIFT LAB announced that the group would make a comeback at the end of April. Even before the album was released, pre-orders exceeded 370,000 within 3 days and surpassed 450,000 copies 1 day before release. These numbers showed that only a few months after their debut, the group had already gained serious commercial momentum. After Border, Carnival was released, ENHYPEN won their first music show trophy on May 4th with Drunk Dazed on SBSM TV's The Show. After that, consecutive wins and records followed without interruption. Interestingly, ENHYPEN had also become extremely popular in Japan. Because of this strong support, the group decided to debut in Japan as well, which they did in 2021. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. The group had achieved major success. Their albums were selling in huge numbers and millions were listening to their songs. Until COVID-19 struck, the group suddenly had to pause many of their activities. In the fall of 2021, their plans were unexpectedly disrupted. On September 2nd, it was announced that Heeseung, Jake, Sunghoon, and Jungwon had tested positive for COVID-19. On September 5th, Nikki was also confirmed positive. This situation forced the postponement of their planned comeback schedule. The group eventually made their comeback in October, and once again, they achieved significant success with it. By the time 2022 began, ENHYPEN were no longer just a fast-rising rookie group. They had become a group with stable sales figures and regular placements on global charts. Shortly afterward, plans for a world tour were announced. The concert series set to begin in Seoul was revealed to include Japan, the United States, and other countries. This demonstrated that in a short period of time, the group had reached a scale large enough to organize an international tour. However, on August 17, 2022, it was announced that Sunoo would temporarily suspend his activities due to dizziness, headaches, and chills. For a period of time, the group continued promotions as 6 members. Sunoo's health-related hiatus triggered speculation online. Rumors began circulating on social media claiming that he had been bullied within the group and that this had worsened his anxiety. The speculation grew to such an extent that the company released an official statement denying the allegations. Sunoo returned to group activities shortly afterward, but it seemed that dark clouds continued to hover over the group. In 2023, allegations surfaced claiming that Heeseung had been a bully during his school years. BELIFT LAB responded quickly once again, denying the rumors. The company stated that they had contacted former teachers and classmates and concluded that the accusations were unfounded. Just 3 years after their debut, surpassing 1 million sales 4 times, holding dome concerts in Japan, and consistently appearing on Billboard charts all demonstrate how ENHYPEN transformed into a global force in a remarkably short time. The journey that began on Island was not merely a competition victory. The 7 names announced on that final night soon evolved into young artists who embarked on world tours, sold millions of albums, and grew under intense public scrutiny. ENHYPEN's story continues as an example that reflects both the opportunities and the pressures of the modern K-pop system. ENHYPEN truly is an incredibly successful group. Personally, I think their dance skills are absolutely outstanding. In fact, when people describe their performance ability, there's often a phrase used, the group that can even synchronize their hang time while jumping. That alone says a lot about their precision and teamwork. Honestly, I strongly believe the group will become even more successful in the coming years. I hope their story inspires all of you. Even though they were so young, they never gave up. They chased their dreams relentlessly and achieved remarkable success in a short time. If you have a dream too, hold on to it tightly and never stop working for it. I'm sure your star will shine at some point as well. You just have to believe in yourself. That's the end of today's video. Without overwhelming you, I wanted to briefly talk about the group's formation story and introduce the members. But if you really want it, and if this video gets more than 3,000 likes, I can even make a half-hour video about ENHYPEN because I didn't even get to share many details to keep this one from getting too long. So it's up to you, my dear. Kek dilim larum. I love you all so much. Until the next video, take very good care of yourselves. Goodbye.